All right, welcome to another episode of International Public Relations and Advertising. It's good to see you. In this episode, we'll be looking at how multinational corporations use and manage communication across different countries and cultures. It's going to be very interesting. We'll examine why public relations is critical to global business success, how companies protect their reputation, and how crisis in one country can affect a country's image across the world. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to understand why public relations has become one of the most important functions in managing global organizations. Now let's go there. But before we move on, I'm Dr. Roxiola Akuma, a research media and communication expert with over a decade of experience in training, development of strategies, research supervision, monitoring and evaluation, and crisis communication. I have successfully mentored students, facilitated research workshops, and contributed to PR and advertising campaigns, including community engagement programs and advocacy. So I truly believe you'll find this training valuable. So please go ahead to subscribe to the channel, Roxy's Media World. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you, and let's move on. So at the end of this exciting episode, you should be able to define multinational corporations. What does it mean? Okay. Explain the role of public relations in global organizations, understand reputation management and crisis communication. You'll also be able to identify challenges facing multinational corporations and also analyze how these issues originating from one country can influence the reputation of a multinational brand operating elsewhere. And finally, you should be able to compare how the same company communicates differently in different countries. What are multinational corporations, MNC? A multinational corporation is a company that operates in more than one country. Okay, unlike local businesses that operate, within a single, what do they call it now, a single area or bound by national boundary, multinational corporations conduct their business activities across several countries while maintaining, a unified corporate identity. So these organizations often have their headquarters, for example, established in one country, but then they have branches, subsidiaries, factories, offices, or service centers in other countries. Okay, examples would include MTN, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Samsung, Unilever, Microsoft, Google, etc. Now, because they operate across borders, these organizations face unique communication challenges that require specialized public relations strategies. As such, we cannot, play with that. Okay, so an example, we can see how, for example, in Nigeria hosts many multinationals. Okay, we see them from Coca-Cola, MTN, Airtel. In the food and beverage industry, you can see Coca-Cola, Nestle. They have significant operations. Unilever, consumer goods companies such as Unilever serve millions of Nigerian households, while technology giants like Microsoft, Samsung, they maintain a strong presence in the markets. So we also have Dangote, we have other brands that are also working to maintain a strong presence in the market. Now, although these companies operate globally, they still have to communicate with Nigerian audiences, right, in a way that reflects the local realities, the values and expectations. So at the end of it all, we are not saying that they cannot operate the way they would like. It's not business as usual. It's actually a different set because it demonstrates the importance of adapting global communication strategies, making it useful to the local environment. Now, why does PR matter in these sectors? Okay, why does PR matter for multinational corporations? How do they use and manage it? Public relations is essential, as we've said it from the beginning, even for multinational corporations, because it helps them to build and maintain trust among the stakeholders that they serve. Okay, their stakeholders would include their customers, employees, investors, governments, communities, and the media. Okay, so without effective public relations, organizations may struggle to maintain credibility. And once that happens, it is very, very difficult. You spend more, if you do not put that in place. So public relations or PR would help organizations to explain their actions, promote their values, strengthen relationships, and protect their reputation. In the long run, what we're looking for is ensuring that in the global environment where information travels very fast, across borders, you'll be able to gain the trust, build the trust, protect your reputation, be able to manage crisis, and even support global communication, which is the most valuable asset any organization can possess. This brings us to the philosophy that says think global, act local. That is one of the most important principles in international public relations. Okay, think global, act local. What does this mean? Now, this means that while a company may maintain a consistent global identity, as we've seen in some of the brands I mentioned or put out earlier, it adapts its communication to fit local cultures and audiences. So take, for example, Coca-Cola, promoting happiness and togetherness worldwide, right? You see that in every message that they spread. However, the way the message is communicated in Nigeria, for example, may really, really differ from how it will be communicated elsewhere, say in United States or Japan. Okay, so this shows that at the end of the day, there are different local messages, but the idea is to maintain a consistent global identity, to adopt your communication in a way that fits the local cultures and audiences. So, in other words, we are saying that reputation management is very key. Okay, so with all of this, how do you maintain your reputation for the organization as a PR expert? Reputation management refers to the efforts that organizations make to build, maintain, and protect public image, positive public image. That's the word there. Okay, that's a good word to remember. Positive public image. Because a good reputation encourages customers, to be loyal. It will attract investors. It would also strengthen, employee commitments and improve relationships with the governments and communities that you serve. Reputation is really influenced by many factors. Okay, so it's something that we cannot play with because it includes product quality. It also goes far into customer services, okay? Ethical behavior, corporate social responsibility initiatives, and even the leadership, the credibility of your board and leadership. So for multinational corporations, reputation is not something you can play with. It's particularly important because any negative perception, in one market can quickly spread, okay? Any information about your product, service, or idea that you're putting out there can spread to others through digital media and even international news coverage, thereby reducing, your revenue in just a blink of an eye. So in that situation, if, for example, there is a breach in reputation management, it means it calls for crisis communication. What exactly is crisis communication? Because even the most successful organizations they face crisis. Okay, so it's not a bad thing because you're facing a crisis. It's bad in a way, but it means that it's something that is unavoidable from time to time. But a crisis may involve, sometimes product defects, a batch, there's a contamination, for example, in a pharmaceutical product, etc., or service failure. You see companies trying to send messages in time to say they are having downtime, they're undergoing maintenance, etc. Legal disputes, social media controversies, data breaches, okay, or even public criticism. Now, crisis communication is the process of providing accurate, very accurate, and timely information during such situations. You don't keep quiet. As the PR professional in your organization, it's your job to ensure effective crisis management communication, okay? So that you can begin to follow the steps that are outlined here. How is it? First of all, you have to identify the problem, okay? That's the first step. Then you respond quickly. Responding quickly or promptly means that you're able to do that through the channels that are available to you via the media, okay? And promptly communicating means that you have to communicate quickly, clearly, okay, honestly, so that you can be able to demonstrate that you're accountable, to the audience or the customers that you serve, or to your investors, or to your board, So it cuts across the various audiences or groups that you serve. So you'll be able to ensure that the goal is not to just resolve the issue only, because you're not just you could resolve the issue, but reputation has gone, way low. So what do? The idea is to preserve public trust, okay, or regain it, and then protect your organization's reputation. So you take responsibility, you fix the issue, and then continue to spread the good side, the positive messaging that your organization hopes to achieve. Because in today's digital age, any delayed response, we know, can often worsen the crisis. So it's very, very vital to take note of these areas. So these are some of the challenges of global PR. Another challenge would be in terms of culture, language, the legal system operating within the sphere where you are conducting business, the media environment, social media speed. Because managing communication across different countries would present these challenges, right? So cultural differences can just influence how people would interpret your message. What is acceptable in country A, place A, may not be. And then we also have what we call the language barrier, which can create, misunderstanding. The same word would have another meaning or dual meaning. So you have to be very, very precise and ensure that your communication is clear. Different countries also have different governing laws. So to set up a business or run a business or, conduct your affairs in another country, either their governing advertising practices, their media operations, or corporate communications, you would have to be aware so that you know what to do and how to present it. Sometimes it's even the political environment that presents these challenges, because it would be in such a way that you have to understand what it is that is obtainable in that environment, and then you have to communicate in accordance, with that. In addition, social media has become, made it possible for local issues to gain international attention within minutes. So it's also one challenge for global PR. If you do not take advantage of it, it would actually, it would be something that could be kind of like challenging for you if you've not started using it. But as a result, multinational corporations are already taking advantage of all of this, because they have to consistently monitor their communication, their environment, and also adopt strategies that would help them accordingly. Now let's take a look at some case studies today. Before we wrap up, it would be very, very good to do that. So our case study, we're examining Coca-Cola as an example, using Nigeria, the context here in Nigeria, because in Nigeria, Coca-Cola advertisement often emphasizes, family gatherings, usually, celebrations, friendship, cultural festivals, etc. So that is one of the things, and these themes resonate strongly with the Nigerian social values. So they've been able to present it in such a way that it works. And looking at another context, it will be surprising to see that, or interesting to see that in the United States, for example, Coca-Cola campaigns focus on sports, entertainment. Majorly, they do. It goes through the category for personal experiences, lifestyle branding, all to promote that. So these are the differences, talking about adaptation, the cultural difference, how they've been able to segment it in such a way that it fits, the message is clear, but it's able to fit different audiences. Now, altogether, the company promotes the same global values of happiness and connection, right? But it has found a way to communicate these values differently based on local cultural experiences. Okay, so that's one good example that we can use today. Then we can also take a look at the think global and act global. So this brings us back to that principle which we saw earlier of think global and act global, because it shows that while a company may maintain consistent global identity, it is adapting its communication to fit local cultures and audiences. So it's a good place to be. Another case study we'll be looking at today is MTN, looking at what we can see, or what's obtainable. For MTN Nigeria, for example, campaigns will always focus, or have always focused, on affordable data services. And this is because of the economic situation, socioeconomic situation in this country. And then also youth empowerment, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and community development. For example, looking at the MTN Foundation. So, but it's very, very different elsewhere. For example, in South Africa, the communication has placed greater emphasis on digital innovation. Their campaigns or adverts will talk about business solutions, technological advancements, and economic inclusion. So that is because of the setup, for both countries. The countries differ. So their overall mission hasn't changed, it's consistent, but the messages are reflecting the priorities and the needs of each market. So that is very, very key when we talk about how to adopt and how to use, manage, how multinational corporations use and manage, their global public relations and the strategies that they put in. But there's something else that comes up at this peak. Why do we still have global challenges? How does it flow from one sector to the other? This is what we call reputation spillover. We are moving to a more complex public relations issue known as reputation spillover. How does it affect national issues? How does it affect global perception impact? And in this day and age, how does it contribute to social media amplification? We'll give another simple definition to just help. Okay? Reputation spillover occurs when events that are associated with a company's home country, influences how people perceive that company in other countries. All right. So, for example, we currently would use the xenophobic actions happening in South Africa. Let's consider MTN. MTN, whose headquarters are located in South Africa. Over the years, incidents like xenophobic violence and tensions that are involving foreign nationals or Africans have attracted international attention. So these, although MTN may not be responsible, they have no, because of course they're not responsible. We can see from the news who is what is happening and all of that. But then some people in other countries may still associate the company with its country of origin. And as such, you would begin to see, counter, anti-friendly activities or things happening. So this shows how national events can affect corporate reputation even beyond national borders. So it calls for organizations, global organizations, to not keep quiet when things are happening in their home countries where they are headquartered, right? Because it means that they will be perceived in that way to be contributors to those national or international issues. So in terms of reputation spillover, the MTN example actually just shows that companies will inherit, their country's reputation. So if you're coming from you're headquartered in a country that is, having a lot of major issues and all of that, especially when it's affecting human rights, it's affecting, let's say, environmental protection, etc. The MTN example reveals an important lesson in international public relations, because multinational corporations, as they inherit the aspect of their country's reputation, people become frustrated, with their social, political, or economic development in other countries. So those emotions can sometimes be directed towards those companies originating from that country. So, and it creates what we might call a double identity challenge. It's not your fault. You're viewed, because you're going to be viewed, for example, as both South African company and as a local company operating in Nigeria. So by the time this raises the dust in the air, managing these dual activities or identities would require careful communication that is, that will be considered sensitive, to public perception. So this is very important and shows why public relations is much more than advertising. It is really not about just advertising. It's about managing relationships within a complex global environment. It's time for our activity for this episode, and I'm so excited. Now, you are expected to just choose any multinational corporation and compare how the organizations communicate in Nigeria and another country. Okay, so it's very, very interesting to know if you've been able to pick up anything from this episode. Okay, so you identify similarities and differences in the messaging and the target audiences, the cultural references, and the corporate social responsibility initiatives, if any. Okay, so discuss whether there have been any national issues from the company's home country that have influenced its reputation abroad. We'll be happy to see if you can prepare and justify your conclusions using the examples that we have provided. All right, it's been a pleasure. And I want to say that global PR is not just it's not just about advertising. It's not just marketing, because in highly interconnected world like we are in today, public relations is what helps organizations build trust, manage reputation, communicate across cultures, and even respond to crisis. We've seen the case of Coca-Cola and MTN, with successful global communications, but it shows that they require both consistency and local adaptation. As such, it's important to also know that multinational corporations do not exist in isolation, because the reputation may be influenced not only by its own actions, not by what you've done, but also by the perception of your home country and the countries you are resident in or branched in, or your subsidiaries are in. That is why international public relation has become a strategic necessity. It's very important for organizations that are operating in today's global environment. So on this note, I would like to say thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. And if you have any questions, we would like you to know that yes, we are here for you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video, and remember to turn on the notification bell so that you can see new episodes as they are posted. I'm Dr. Roxy Ola Akuma. Thank you, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.